Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're diving into something that literally rules our entire lives, yet we can't even see it. Yeah, I'm talking about time. But look, forget about just watching the clock tick on the wall. We're going to get into the really fascinating ways that we actually perceive, bend, and believe it or not, manipulate our own experience of time. Let's get right into it.
Just think about this for a sec. Why on earth does a 2-hour Netflix binge feel like, 5 minutes? But then 10 minutes stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic feels like an absolute eternity, right? I mean, the clock hasn't changed at all. 60 minutes is still exactly 60 minutes. But your internal experience of that time, it is radically different. We've all been there, feeling the utter frustration of time just dragging its feet, or the wild joy when time absolutely flies by.
And this brings us to a super empowering idea. Michael Altshuler hit the nail on the head when he said, "The bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot." I absolutely love that, because while that ticking clock is an unavoidable physical reality, our internal perception of it, that's actually something we can control. Like, you can't change the literal length of your days, but you absolutely can control their depth.
All right, section 1, 2 models of time. So to really understand how we, pilot our time, we actually need to take a quick trip back to ancient Greek mythology. See, the Greeks were pretty clever. They had 2 totally distinct words for time. First up is Chronos. It's where we get words like chronological. It's strict, it's measured in seconds, and it just keeps relentlessly pushing forward. Imagine Chronos as this tired old guy with a scythe. He's basically the ultimate micromanager. It's that stressful time scarcity panic we feel whenever we catch ourselves saying, time is money. But then we have Kairos, and Kairos is a whole different ballgame. It translates roughly to the opportune moment, and it's completely qualitative. The Greeks personified Kairos as this young, winged god. He's the guy in charge of serendipity, creativity, and flow state. It's that magical feeling when time just seems to stand still. Moving right along to section 2, the philosophy of narrative time. Okay, now that we've got our anchor terms locked in, let's zoom in a bit, from ancient myths to modern literature. You see, rigorous academic studies, like the ones published in the IDOSR journal, point out something really fascinating. They show that literature actually structures our temporal experience. Writers are literally bending Chronos and Kairos on purpose to pull deep emotional responses right out of us. It's their way of inviting us to step out of the daily grind and slip completely into a constructed reality. And the philosopher Paul Ricoeur makes a really crucial distinction here. He breaks narrative down into 2 buckets: tales about time and tales of time. Kind of sounds like a tongue twister, right? But basically, a tale about time is when a story intellectually discusses the nature of time itself. But a tale of time, that actually immerses you directly into its flow or even its distortion. It creates this fictive eternity where you, as the reader, are experiencing the passage of time right there alongside the characters.
All right, section 3, time in Middle-earth. So perhaps the absolute ultimate literary case study for blending Chronos and Kairos together is J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth. Now, keep in mind, Tolkien was writing during this period of crazy rapid industrialization. He was really reacting against a fast-paced world that honestly felt like it was entirely dominated by that ticking clock of Chronos. So what did he do? He used his fiction to explore time travel. And to kind of slow down time's inevitable decay, he gave his readers an escape hatch into something way deeper and much more mythical. And you can really see how totally unique Tolkien's approach was when you put him side by side with his contemporaries. Like, H.G. Wells was out there popularizing mechanical time travel with a physical, literal machine, but Tolkien, he actually found that completely preposterous. Instead, he leaned heavily toward J.W. Dunn's theory of multidimensional dream states and Henry James's concept of environmental shifts. You know, like walking into an old dusty house and just viscerally feeling the past wash over you. Tolkien wanted his time travel to feel organic. He wanted it driven by psychology and environment, not just, gears and levers. Which brings us to section 4, the magic of Elfland. To actually see this organic time travel in action, we just have to look at how masterfully Tolkien manipulates time in the elvish realm of Lothlórien. When the Fellowship of the Ring enters this forest, man, it feels exactly like stepping out of Chronos entirely. The text literally describes it as stepping over a bridge of time into a corner of the elder days. It's like they're washing off the stains of the ordinary ticking world and crossing over into this idyllic, untouched land where ancient things are still alive and breathing. But here's where Tolkien introduces this completely fascinating paradox of elvish time, and it's actually experienced differently by our main characters. For Frodo, he feels like they're in a completely different ancient epoch altogether. Meanwhile, you've got Legolas the elf explaining that time moves both swift and slow.
Swift because elves don't change, but slow because, well, they just don't count the years. And finally, Aragorn kind of reconciles the whole thing. He points out that while they definitely felt the timelessness of Kairos inside the forest, objective Chronos, which you can measure by the phases of the moon outside, just kept ruthlessly ticking away. It is literally the ultimate clash of subjective and objective reality.
Now here is the brilliant catch. While we mere mortals are out here desperately seeking Kairos just to escape our daily burnout, the elves actually have the exact opposite problem. Tolkien noted that they suffer from what he called the escape from deathlessness. See, they use their rings of power to literally freeze time and stop their realms from fading away. But that comes with a pretty profound danger. It's the trap of clinging obsessively to a fading past instead of having the courage to just face change, loss, and, the unknown future. And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, Finding Your Kairos. So how do we actually bring these profound philosophical lessons out of Elfland and, into our own messy modern lives? Because let's face it, we could all use a little Lothlórien right about now. Well, the secret, according to the sources we've looked at, is moderation. We can't just completely abandon Chronos, right? We have bills to pay, we've got real-world responsibilities. But managing Chronos effectively through some solid time management that actually builds the physical and mental fortress you need to invite Kairos in. Mastering the clock is literally what creates the space for the timeless. To really attract this synchronicity, what the intuitive healer Caroline Mice calls soul time, you've got to be intentional about it. It starts with just handling your ongoing Chronos responsibilities so that nagging background anxiety finally disappears. Once that noise clears out, you can actually pause and check your consciousness. Ask yourself, are you serving the clock or are you serving the moment? By tuning into your intuition, you can actively schedule timeless, unstructured activities right into your calendar. Doing that allows you to regularly reflect on your core purpose, ensuring your days actually maintain some deep, overarching meaning. And hey, remember, Kairos isn't always about life-altering miracles or stumbling into some magical forest. Most of the time, it hides in the absolute simplest moments of bliss. We're talking about gazing up at a starry night sky, relishing a warm cup of chai while getting lost in a good book, or just diving into a deep, hours-long conversation with a friend. These are profound, real Kairos moments. But here's the catch. They only exist if we consciously choose to notice them and consciously choose to silence that ticking clock for a minute. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. Just think about your daily routine today. When you look at this framework, which time model are you truly living in? Are you mostly just a captive of the ticking clock, or are you actually carving out space for the opportune moment? Take back the pilot seat, manage your Chronos, and empower yourself to go out there and seek out your own Lothlórien today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you all next time.